Hey guys, Thinking here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we're still moving on with the Extreme Super Battle Road guides. We are up to stage 19, the Majin BUU Saga stage. Your boy has been hard at work making sure we get all of these videos out today, ready for when the event goes live. All of the video guides will be up. This is by far the most videos I've uploaded in one day, so if you want to show your boy some appreciation, go ahead and subscribe so you can always stay up to date with all the videos. I will be streaming later when Super Battle Road goes live to do all the stages, so yeah, come check it out. But we'll move on to the Majin BUU Saga guide. So obviously this category is very, very powerful. The STR Vegio is insanely good. There's a couple of other leaders who are decent choices, although Physical Super Vegio kind of outdated at this point. And there's a few very solid LRs. So as always, we'll go through my top picks as well as some honourable mentions. So, of course, LR, Goku and Vegeta, who become Super Vegio. Very, very powerful unit. Pre-transformation, they have damage reduction. They do get extra key per type sphere obtained, so it's easy to get their 18 key super in most scenarios. And they're just generally very solid overall. They have a built-in chance to launch an additional, so obviously if you have dupes in them, you can potentially super attack 3 times. They raise their defense each time they super, which obviously coupled with the damage reduction makes them even stronger defensively. Now, when you drop below 77% HP from the 4th turn, you can transform into Super Vegio. This not only gives you a really nice heal, which is always really good. Any sort of thing that can give you a free heal in Super Battle Road is always quite nice. And then you become Super Vegio. You lose the damage reduction though. So the one thing that's very clear with this unit, especially when you don't have dupes, is once you fuse into Super Vegio, you will take a lot more damage from attacks. But then obviously you do have the counter. And you have the ability to foresee enemy super attacks for 10 turns from when you transform. So in Super Battle Road, by the time you transform him, that's basically till the end of the run, because you can't transform him until turn 4 anyway. So chances are you're not going to be getting to turn 14 in this stage. So it can be a good idea to fuse. Now, one thing they did with the extreme version of this stage, literally to counter how powerful this unit is they changed the typing of the Super Vegito you fight at the end to AGL. Basically just so that he has type advantage over this guy. So if you do fuse into Vegito and you don't have a defensive item active, he will still take quite a bit of damage from normal attacks. And of course a super attack will do ridiculous damage, so you do have to be careful. Maybe use an item if you are going to fuse. In some instances it might even be an idea not to fuse until sort of the last minute. If you need a good heal, you could kind of fuse and then use Vegito as like a finisher when you get the last Vegito boss down to being on quite low health, or you can kind of use it in an emergency if you just need a heal. But definitely be careful of the fact that you have type disadvantage in that final fight. So then we move on to the Physical Super Vegeta. I thought we'd just talk about him here, because obviously for some people he might be the best Majin BUU Saga leader you have. But honestly, I still don't think he's that great. Like, there are 2 free-to-play units that we're going to look at that have a 130 leader skill for Majin BUU Saga. So whilst this guy does have a better leader skill than them, he's aged really badly. Like, for me personally, when he came out, I still preferred using the AGL Super Vegito. So he might be your best option for a leader, but honestly, overall, he's not that great of a unit. So then, of course, we have the AGL, Barbady and Deborah, and the recent addition to Global, the Prime Battle, BUU and Barbady. Both of these have a 130 lead for Majin BUU Saga, 4 key, and then these guys only give 3 key. So I guess technically, if you're going to use one of these guys as the leader, you should use them. They link up together super, super well. If you have bought the copies of Barbady and Deborah from the barbershop, I know there's not enough copies available to rainbow them for Global, but they are very, very good linked up together. You can make a very solid extreme version of the Majin BUU Saga team, and there's a lot of very good extreme units on this category. So these guys can work as a sub-lead. Honestly, I feel like maybe running one of these guys as the leader is still more beneficial than Physical Super Vegito, just because of how bad he is overall. So I feel like that's probably saying something. But then moving on, we do have the BUU tanks. I included him here just because we were kind of on the topic of extreme BUU Saga units. People always think about like your Vegitos, the Gohans, the Gotenkses, and they potentially are the most powerful way to build a Majin BUU Saga team for sure. But remember, of course, that there are a ton of good BUU units technically you can run this BUU as your leader and run a full Majin Power / Majin Power Absorption team that is fully Majin Buu Saga, because so many of the BUU units are on there. So you can make a very solid team. You could basically make a full Majin Power, like full BUU team to get through this stage, just because the physical BUU tanks is so good. The extreme physical no item run for ESBR was really easy thanks to this guy and his team. So you can make a very solid build around Majin Power. So then we have the Int Vegio. If we're going classic Majin Buu Saga here, obviously these guys really good alongside the STR version of the LR. In the final fight against AGL Vegio, just because he has so much HP, you actually probably do have the possibility of being able to get to turn 6. And so if you can, if you've taken enough damage, maybe turn 5 if you're below 50% HP or very, very close, you can use like a minor damage reduction item, not heal, and then of course go into turn 6, fuse with them into Super Vegio. And if you are able to fuse into the Int Super Vegio, then yeah, he just kind of cleans house a little bit. He obviously counters with the tremendous power, just like, the usual Vegito stuff. His defense, if you look at his passive, it doesn't seem like his defense would be crazy good, because he doesn't have damage reduction either, like some of the other Super Vegios. But because he's an LR, he's been around for quite a while now. It was the 3-year anniversary unit, so a lot of people will have this guy with dupes. He will be very, very powerful, but he is going to be in a similar boat to the STR Super Vegio. You can't just park him in front of a whole bunch of attacks, not use an item, and expect him to come away completely unscathed. He will take a little bit of damage, and of course, Super Vegio, especially the ones with the counters, their biggest weakness is always taking super attack. He will take quite a lot of damage from a super attack, so you got to be careful there. But if you do get him to fuse, you get the full heal. He's very, very powerful. So, you're going to be cleaning up with him towards the end. So, moving on, we have the Super Saiyan 2 Angel Vegeta. We talked about him previously for Resurrected Warriors, I believe, in that guide. But he is very good. Majin Buu Saga is one of the best teams to run him on, because obviously to get his full potential, you want to be running a Majin Buu Saga Goku with him. And obviously this is the best team to do that, because any Goku you can run him on this team for this stage has to be a Majin Buu Saga to be able to be run on the stage. So you can make a very good setup with this guy. For me, personally, I really like running him with this Goku. I run them together on the Super Saiyan 2 team quite a lot as a rotation. I don't normally run them as main rotation on Majin Buu Saga, but that's normally because I run Majin Buu Saga as sort of more of a Majin Buu Saga Battle of Wits team, which obviously you can't do for this particular stage. So they make a very, very strong rotation. This Goku, after his EZA, once he's super attacked a couple of times, he actually has ridiculously high defense. And I like this guy over, say, the AGL one, because he provides defense to everybody, which in Super Battle Road is really useful, and then only Super Saiyan 2 allies get the attack buff, whereas the AGL one is the opposite way around, and I think defense is probably a little bit more important for Super Battle Road, so he can actually support the other units that are on the rotation with some defense, and then of course he will be giving the Vegeta the attack boost, and triggering the ability for his partner Super, as well as his active skill, which you can use on turn 3. And I mean, that's pretty early on for like a long-term event, but in Super Battle Road, where you can beat fights in like 3 to 5 turns, maybe not the Vegito at the end just because he has so much HP, but you could use this straight away on turn 3 to pretty much finish off at least one of the enemies in the earlier fights, so this can be super, super useful. So then moving on, we have the AGL Super Vegio. I thought I would include him here because he still can be pretty good. He got a kind of underwhelming EZA compared to some of the other 70% leads and some other EZA units in general, but he is still very, very good. As long as you don't take a super, because he takes tons of damage from super attacks, he will still tank reasonably well and counter. Because he's aged a little bit and because of what his stats are, he definitely is one of those units now where if you're not getting crits on the counters, you're probably not going to be doing crazy amounts of damage, but he can still be very useful. And on a turn where he doesn't take a super attack, if you pop like a Whis or an Icarus, he's going to be taking double-digit damage from normal attacks and then hitting people with the counters. Even if the counters don't do that much damage, that's obviously very good to have a unit that can just soak up all those normal attacks without taking a huge amount of damage. And you have the benefit that if you put him in slot 1, when he super attacks, he raises all allies attack by 35% for the rest of the turn. So you think if you have him in slot 1 and then have like the STR or Int Super Vegito attacking next, they are going to do crazy amounts of damage after his super attack. Because remember, his damage received from normal attacks is minus 80%. That's like Golden Frieza level of defense. So for normal attacks, he's your man. Super attacks, he takes a ton of damage. So you do have to be careful with him. He can combine well with the STR Vegio, because once he fuses, you can see where the super attacks are. But to be fair, on that rotation, neither of them take supers very well. So you do have to be very careful. So then we have our boy, shout out to J Fanner. I had to include the Candy Vegio. So obviously after his Easy A, definitely is a much, much better unit. He has a high chance to stun, which is really good. He raises attack and defense on super. He has a built-in 70% chance to dodge. And then he is somewhat of a nuker as well. You get attack and defense 20% per tech key sphere, or just defense if it's non-tech. So it can be good sometimes to just grab a whole bunch of orbs even if they're not tech, because it means if he does let you down a little bit with the dodging, you are going to be able to tank hits reasonably well. His defense isn't crazy, even if you have picked up a ton of non-type orbs, because you think about how difficult it is to get like 10 orbs, and that only gives 100% defense if they're not tech orbs. So I mean, if you can somehow get 10 tech orbs, then I mean, this man's gonna have 200% attack and defense, so pretty good. So he can be very hit or miss, just like any nuking unit, but the 70% chance to dodge and the stun does make him incredibly useful. I used him on the Battle of Wits no item run when the other category stages came out in December for Global, so he definitely can hold his own in the harder events, as long as you don't get unlucky with the dodge RNG. So moving on, we have the Gotenks. Again, we've mentioned him in multiple guides so far because he just is one of those units. If you have him, you should bring him on any team that he can run on. So I won't go into all the detail again, because I assume some of you have probably watched all the guides, but just to go over the very basics, he greatly raises defense on super, which is really good. As long as he's in slot 2 or 3, his defense will be very good. And then turn 3, he becomes Super Saiyan, still greatly raises defense, but he has a 70% chance to stun, and he has the built-in chance of potentially doing an additional super attack. So if you have dupes, he can super 3 times, and each one of them has a 70% chance to stun. So you have to get pretty unlucky to not stun with him. And stunning is very powerful in Super Battle Road. So obviously he is very, very good. Then we have the Int Hercule. You could bring the LR Hercule, he's really good as well, but this guy was an MVP in the old Majin Buu Saga No Items run. He has a high chance to dodge built in, he reduces damage received by 50% to 90%, depending on your HP. The less your HP, the better damage reduction he has. So if you're in a bind and you start the turn on quite low health, he tanks really, really well. And then he does also have a chance to stun on his super attack, which, as we've already mentioned, is very, very useful. The only problem is he doesn't link up super well with a lot of other units on the team, but you can kind of get around that with support, or sometimes just his dodging is useful, even if you can't get a super attack for him. Then we have the High School Gohan. He's another unit like the Gotenks. We've mentioned him already because I do firmly believe this is a unit that if you can run him on any team, on any stage for these Super Battle Road stages, you should be bringing him if you have him. He's one of the best super type support units in the game. He's got decent attack and defense whilst also having 58% damage reduction, giving everybody support. Because remember, he gives the support to himself as well. So he's actually got like 88% attack and defense, which whilst not being crazy high, when you couple that with 58% damage reduction, that is actually very good. And he also has a medium chance to stun. So he's just insanely good. And then the last shout out is for this STR Gohan. I believe we've mentioned him already, probably during the Hybrid Saiyans one. He's very good for this particular team because he supports Majin Buu Saga Super type allies. So unless you are going to go for a rotation of like the Boos, for example, or the free-to-play LRs, he's a really good unit that can work as a support who also holds his own defensively and isn't just going to get absolutely destroyed by super attacks. So he will take damage from a super, but normal attacks he'll be kind of okay. Obviously, this is more for a strategy for people who don't really care about items. I'm sure most people, when you try and get your first run, you just want to actually beat it. I maybe wouldn't use this guy on a no items attempt for this stage, but he's going to do very well. He can seal the attacked enemy as well. He has a high chance to seal them for 2 turns. So, of course, that is another thing that can be useful in Super Battle Road. So Majin Buu Saga, a lot of strong options. There's a lot of free-to-play options. You've got units like the Go Bros that we already mentioned in a previous video. I mean, they're not great defensively straight away, but they can put out a ton of damage. The Saiyaman 1 and 2 are a really good super types support unit. They give everyone defense and ki, and they can seal the enemy. So they're actually a pretty good pick as well. The Angel Goku creates orbs, heals, and can serve as the Majin Buu Saga Goku you need for the physical Angel Vegeta. If you are bringing a Buu-centric team, you've obviously got all these units like the Buu Piccolo, all the Kid Boos, Buff Buu. I didn't highlight all of these guys, but like, yeah, you can basically make a full Buu team that would be very, very strong. Obviously, we've also got the transforming Super Saiyan 2s on here. I talked about them in one of the previous videos. There are just a ton of units. Tech Gohan as well. Like, there are so many great units on this category. Like, it's no surprise that Majin Buu Saga / Battle of Wits is one of the better teams in the game. Battle of Wits does help to supplement that with some of the other Vegitos and some other good units, but Majin Buu Saga just has a ton of super powerful units. So some of the ones we didn't mention specifically, it's because I've mentioned them a bunch of times in other videos already. But if you're someone who hasn't watched all the other guides, as I do with all of these, feel free to let me know down below if there's a unit that you didn't think we talked about enough, or that I didn't talk about at all, and we can continue the discussion down below in the comments section. And obviously let us know what your team build is going to be for this run as well. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.